Hi, welcome to Prayers Radio Conversations. I'm your host, Rich Jarvis. This is my co host, John Waterhouse. This show is only about prayer, Ernest Holmes, which we call spiritual mind treatment in this philosophy. I get to introduce our wonderful guest today. We have Maggie Rintala, RScP. She's also a ministerial student. Wonderful person. I just love this girl. Anyways, what I'm going to have you do is do a prayer for us, if you would, please, Maggie.
I would love to. Just taking that sacred moment to be in this body, with this mind, in this place right here and right now, recognizing the oneness that is available, the oneness that I am, the oneness of this moment. It is in that oneness that life is available, that the life of God moves as me. The life of God moves this conversation. And I know that because this moment is life's longing to live, it's all there is. This conversation, this connection, these people, we are life. And I know that because we are life, there is only love and there is only ever more expanding possibility. I claim it, I believe it, and with full faith that that is what is happening, I just let it go. And with a nice long exhale, I release it into the law of oneness. And so it is.
So it
So it
is.
is. Beautiful. Thank
I
you
was
so
going
much, Maggie. I'm
so
really pleased to meet you. I'm glad you're on the show today. And thank you, Rich, for finding this beautiful being to be our guest today.
well, she's a fantastic woman. I just have to say that. She has a website, which is maggieritala.com. I'm going to spell it because we have people that listen on Apple Podcasts and things of that nature. MaggieRintala.com. Did I say that right?
You did. Thank you.
You're going to
Go
see
there
a
and be
very
amazed. We already did that this morning.
Yeah, it's a powerful site, and she has a lot of a powerful message for both girls, women, everybody. Because we looked at your site and said, "Oh my gosh," which I've already known the site, but anyways. So you got
Very
the
Thank
first.
nice.
you. Thank you
Want to
so
So
tell
much.
us?
let's start the conversation. Maggie, the first thing I want to know from you is please tell us about your spiritual practice. What is it that you do to connect and stay unified with the presence?
What a good question. You know, I always say that movement is my first language. I have always been an incredibly physical person. And as it turns out, that's really true for everyone. Before we could speak, we were in our body, and our
Mhm.
mind and our body were working perfectly together to get us moving and explore the world. So for me, it starts with the body. And before I even open my eyes, I recognize my breathing and I have gratitude for that. And I just have this feeling sensation that there are these concentric circles of gratitude as I wake up around being grateful for life. I'm breathing And then I become into awareness, and then I can be grateful for this bed that I'm sleeping in that's Japanese and it's so comfortable and it's just delicious. And then I think about my partner next to me. And then if I open my eyes at that moment, my beautiful space that I safely am surrounded by the things I love, and it goes out from there. And starting the day with gratitude is huge. And then, in terms of spiritual practices throughout the day, I really cannot be regimented about my life, whether it's the way I work or just who I am in this body. It's freedom to choose. So I know I have my prayer, and sometimes I'm in prayer all day long when things are challenging, and I need that friend. Prayer is such a friend for me. And I practice my really deep spirituality is rooted in what I now call shamanism, animistic practices, being connected to nature, the practice of oneness that is recognizing the spiritual truth in all things. And then I feel free to communicate with that. And communicate can be anything from the gratitude and the feeling of being with the tree and how it makes me feel to understanding the meaning of the tree, those great metaphors that we've had about trees throughout time immemorial. You know, all wisdom traditions have great tree metaphors and ideas and teachings and lessons. And then the spiritual practice of being in relationship, not just to life, but to other humans. What am I learning about life by having conversations, by being stretched, by being challenged? I've been married for 20 something years. I have two children who I've worked really hard to allow them to express themselves. And that comes back to me in ways that I'm like, oh, now you're expressing yourself. And that confronts my idea of life. And that's such a great spiritual practice to get in right relationship with my environment, puts me in position to be in right relationship with ever growing communities so that when I engage in my spiritual community, I have had that practice of being in my own right relationship with myself, my family, and my spiritual community so that when I go out into the world, I have practiced love for myself in my family, in my spiritual community, so that when I go out into the bigger world and am challenged by political ideas, by environmental wrongdoings, I'm always rooted in love, connection, oneness.
So
That's a great answer. Thank you.
how does
Rich.
that prayer show up in your life? I mean, you talk about nature and everything else, and when you say a prayer, does it just manifest, or the light of God shines upon you, which it does most of the time? I know that because you're wonderful. What are your thoughts on that?
I Prayer for me really is like a great friend. Prayer is the phone call I can always make and get the best advice. So sometimes I use prayer just, really in the beginning, it started with I had chronic pain and I had done so much work, and I was told this pain would never be cured and I would have to manage it. And I had all the x-rays to prove it, and I had seen the best doctors on two continents. And so I was convinced that there was nothing I could do. So I decided to give prayer a shot because I thought, well, what harm could it do? And it was like the final key that just unlocked my knowing that it was possible. And so whenever I get stuck or challenged with separation at a red light, when someone else is doing it wrong, and I know how this light works, and they're supposed to wait, and it's my turn, I'm in separation. I'm in me mode. I'm not in we mode. I can go to prayer and I can know the oneness, and I can go through a really quick spiritual mind treatment and just let that go. And then in really big moments when there's a family, what feels like a family crisis, it's a challenge, it's a moment of a greater knowing that needs to come through, prayer.
Mm.
So it really shows up in my life for any and all things. If I wake up and I can't immediately feel that my breath is available, something's going on, something deeper is going on. And I go to prayer and I just say, I know this day works out because there is a greater oneness, and I am a part of that. And everything always works out for me. And even when I go on in the day and the red light situation happens, I'm reminded, my prayer let me know this works out for me. I don't know how, but it does work out for me. And so I can go on from there.
I was thinking of a quote from Jim Farrell. He goes, I don't know what's going on, but something inside me does.
Love that. Yeah,
John, you
I'm
got
And you
okay not
definitely,
knowing.
yeah.
well, and what you're describing is expectancy, expecting things to work out. And that's a wonderful way to move through life. You don't get stalled. You don't get a suddenly stand in front of a big rock wall that you have no idea to get through. You always know that there's an answer, even if you don't consciously know it in the moment. So that's a great way to live your life. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I would ask, you're a ministerial student, which means that you're a licensed practitioner in our movement, and you probably work with people doing spiritual mind treatment for them. And believing that that would be so, I would ask you about your work with other people. Um, can you describe what a session with a person would be like for you as a practitioner?
Yeah. So generally, we sit together in a
Mhm.
quiet, safe, comfortable space. I have done walking sessions with people,
Mhm.
and I used to think I would prefer that, being in nature, collecting that energy. And I will also say it can be distracting. So being somewhere that just feels like pausing, being here now, feels like it lets the most things become available. And then we have a conversation, and I allow all things to be said, and I ask questions that will hopefully allow each person to go deeper than maybe they want to, so that if there's something on the surface that's kind of bubbling up, we can ask really good questions that help us to dive deeper underneath the story. I I know it's hard, but I really cut stories off as quickly as possible. Backstory is so important, and we can get into telling so many stories and so much of what happened that it it doesn't even matter. There's one thing we're here to do, and the quicker we can get to that, the quicker we can undo it.
Hmm.
I would say Ernest Jones will be very proud of you to know that you're not getting caught up in the
Oh,
story. You
thank
know, because a
you.
lot of practitioners listen to a lot of story more than they probably should, And being in the story is being in the problem. So good for you that you can do that gently and draw people toward an outcome that they would prefer rather than staying in the story.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
wonderful. Yeah, I like how you actually brought that in, going outside the box and inside the box in terms of being a quiet solitude versus walking in nature. I don't think we've heard that from somebody else on that. I like that. Hey, the evolving prayers comes to mind from that. Is that how have your prayers evolved and changed over time? I mean, did you come from what background did you come from, and where are you going to, and how have you arrived to the place that you're at right now as a ministerial candidate or student, as you call it, because you're almost there.
Um, well, I will say that it has been a process of being free and figuring out how to integrate the embodiment piece that is so important to me. And to bring it back to how I work with people, I almost always give them not an assignment, but the gift of a physical practice to use when we're not in session. So that it isn't only a prayer practice or a thinking practice or a mind-centered practice, but there's something physical that can ground them in the body. You know, whatever anyone thinks we are, we live here in this thing. This is where I am, whether I think I'm a soul or a spirit.
So, so have
Um,
your prayers evolved from that way, or it,
yes,
did you
yes.
come did you come from a certain philosophy and then move gradually to get to where you're at today, or
Yeah, I would say the evolving has been seeing the web. So in the beginning, and maybe this is a basic spiritual maturity. In the beginning, I'm here, it's just me. And spiritually speaking, I've been able to step back from the web and see, oh, not only is it me, Dr. Kathy Hearn talks a lot about Indra's net. I think of it as a web. So my net looks like a web, and we are this spot. I think of myself as this dewdrop. And then there are all these dewdrops on the web, and we're all connected. And the further back I get from that, the more I am available for the physical practice of prayer. How does my body move when I am in this great oneness, the reverence of knowing that this is the place God exists? What does that feel like for me? And then as I begin to feel it, I can start naming it. So I can use those feeling sensations in my prayers with words. And then as that grows even greater, my very first prayer practice, I invented for myself, which I'm sure, it probably has a name in some other wisdom tradition, because is there really anything new? um, I would do walking spiritual mind treatment. So I would be in the woods and I would start walking, and the first step is recognition. So I'm looking around and I'm recognizing this tree is God. The sound of my feet on the leaves is God. This is all God happening, and I am that oneness. And I feel the wind on my skin so that I become the thing I am speaking. The thing I am speaking has spoken to me, and it's this interrelated relationship. And then I allow the prayer, and this is being raised in the woods, being raised with this knowing of my first spiritual teacher was my mother, and she said, if you want to be with God, go outside. And she said it like that too. There was a little finger wag. Go outside, be with God. Um, that to say, I allowed myself to let that evolve. That is a deep wisdom tradition of nature that I am bringing along with me through that direct revelation that is the same in science of mind. It's the same in Catholicism. It's the same in animistic ancient traditions everywhere on every continent. I bring it into my body so that it's a feeling. Long story short.
I get
That's
it's
beautiful.
like the golden thread that runs through everything is what you're talking about. I think Holmes said that best, but
Yeah,
wonderful.
I like the part where you were talking about the web and being the dewdrop on the web. That's very shamanistic.
Yep,
The indigenous people use that concept of web to describe oneness, and I think you used it eloquently there.
very well. I thought it was great.
So, another question from me. You obviously are working as a practitioner. You explained how you do that. It seemed very elegant, very, very practical. Have you ever had someone you were working with tell you that the thing that you treated for them did not happen? And if so, what was your next step with them?
Generally, what happens is that they feel it in the moment, and
Mhm.
then the further away from the session we get, that the high vibration that is so palpable when we are there together of the prayer, of the spiritual mind treatment, it fades. So my next step is if it's the same thing that we're going over, I think I'm okay with 3 times having the same conversation. That might be considered wrong. We are, I know it's done, and for my client, we can do it 3 times. And by the third time, what is the action we're not taking? Let's get curious about that. What action did we do before? If we're treat and move our feet, which is one of our favorite sayings that has probably been said on this podcast 1,000 times. What is the action we took that maybe didn't work? How did it feel? And was it in alignment with what we know is true, which is this is done. So that's the action that was taken. So we know that if something isn't working in our life, we unravel the underlying belief. And that happens over our big lifetime. So we can unravel things that happened way back when that we may not even have a full memory of. There's just a glimmer. We can do that daily. How come I can't get to work on time? I've prayed about it. I've prayed about it. I've prayed about it. I set my alarm early. Oh, well, as it turns out, um, my dog has been sick, and so I have to take it on an extra long walk, and I haven't taken the time to take my dog to the vet so that I can get to work on time. Okay, there's a behavior tied to everything, and those can be unraveled in a session in a way that truly benefits the faith and the future activity of that person as well as me, because I know that in this relationship with this person I am treating for, I continue to heal as well. So that action piece becomes vital.
Very nice. Well said.
Thank you.
So, prayer specifics for yourself. I'm sort of curious on what you found that works. I mean, we have a 5 step, a 7 step. Agape has a 6 step, if you will, which is gratitude in the beginning. Some people do a 3 step, and then some people just do a 1 step, which is I command it into the law. It's done. What is your thing that you found that works for you?
Wow. I didn't know everybody was using all those different things. What in the world? I'm
What works?
sure I am too. I'm sure I am all over the map. It's so important to me not to get tied to specifics. And that's because they've never worked for me. That's because I have traveled all over the world and I see that there are people living everywhere really, really, really well. And that means there really isn't anything special about having a certain kind of pillow or a certain kind of car or a certain kind of prayer or having to know Jesus specifically. You can still live a beautiful, loving life. So I divorce myself from any of that so that when I am in the oneness, I can allow it to be what it is in the moment. And that means the concepts and principles of our philosophy come alive in that moment. So yeah, sometimes it's a command. It's all going to work out. I say that a lot. My life works out for me. It always does and it always has. That is a one-step spiritual mind treatment, which I think is what you're saying, Rich, that um, in that moment, I have said a prayer. Everything always works out for me. I do a half an hour meditative prayer where I open up the space, I unify with the space, kind of like visioning, where I allow the greater oneness to speak through me so that I'm not saying the prayer. The prayer is downloading into me. What is it that I need to know? That is a prayer also. And then when I work with clients, I stay very specific and very true to the basics of the 5 step is what I do. And I do that because when people are working foundationally, we need to use something that is learnable, is repeatable, and can be adapted for them. So here's my gift to you. This is the 5 step spiritual mind treatment. Use it and it will work for you.
Wonderful.
Wonderful response. So let's move to another scenario. Imagine, Maggie, that you're at some event and there's a period of mingling and people are getting to know one another, and someone finds out that you're a minister in this movement or a practitioner, either way. And they say, "So, what is science of mind?" What would your short response be?
Science of mind is a philosophy. It's a way of living that studies wisdom traditions, religious traditions, and distills and utilizes the truths that run true for all of them. And we put those truths into practice.
That's a very viable answer. Thank you.
Works. We're at the well, we're not at the 5 minute mark, but we're getting close. What Ernest Holmes book is your favorite?
I love The Science of Mind and How to Use It. It's a great one that teaches as much as it preaches.
I like that. And how about your
Uh,
favorite
that
novel?
that was a textbook that we used to teach for years at our center in North Carolina. How to Use the Science of Mind is a classic.
It really is. It really is. It's a great book. I'll put it in the show notes also. The favorite Ernest Holmes quote. What would that be?
I have there's so many quotes, but truly when it comes to Ernest Holmes, what is most important to me and really I think is the greatest gift to just give people is the concept of direct revelation. Because it is a tradition and a knowing that has been utilized throughout all different kinds of traditions and religions. And Ernest Holmes outlined it so well that we are the place God exists. And because of I think our civilization, we forget how to let the imagination be the vehicle of God. That is direct revelation. What I desire, what I love, what comes into my mind when I close my eyes, what interests me, the bird, that is a direct revelation. The idea and the feeling that gives me. Sorry, that was not a quote at all. I'm taking this interview out
I
of your
liked it.
hands and I am fully going my own direction with it.
It's a
My favorite
conversation.
Ernest Holmes quote is his idea of direct revelation.
And I would give you the quote that goes with that, where Holmes in the Declaration of Principles says that anyone can be a revealer of truth who is in close contact with the indwelling God.
Well, God.
That's
Yeah.
it. You
Yes.
nailed it.
Thank you.
We have two more questions
So,
left.
well, my final question to you then would be, what would you what would you hope that people get from this conversation we're having today? What would they walk away with?
Wherever you are right now, you have access to the answer you are seeking. You don't have to go eat the right food. You don't have to say the right prayer. You don't have to brush your hair or your teeth. You can simply connect and ask. And the problem is, you then have to trust, believe, and have faith. Don't question that answer. Do it now. Give it a go. I believe it.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Leave it. That's great. Take us home, Rich.
All right. Well, people can visit your site at maggierintala.com. Wonderful person that you are. There's a lot of information there, YouTube sites and things of that nature. And how do they find you, John?
What did you say, sir?
I said, how do they find you, John?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm working on a new website right now. I would be delighted to direct people to my wife's website. BarbaraWaterhouse.com is up and active with her Sunday messages, her classes taught, and a number of audio books that she recorded. She passed away in 2023, but she's still quite active on that website. So go check that one out. I do another podcast called Higher Reality on the Edge of Understanding. I do that with a couple of ministers who have retired down to Mexico, and we put that out every week as well. Again, it's Higher Reality on the Edge of Understanding. And my latest book is out. It's called Mastering Manifestation, which you can find on Amazon. That's what I'm up to.
Fabulous, fabulous. Maggie, do you have anything, last comments?
Yeah, you knew I would.
No. That's why I said, I know this girl. Come on now.
Um, when you go to my website, you will notice that it looks like it's focused specifically on fitness. And that has been, as I'm making my transition to full-time ministry, which will happen in the next year, that website will be opening up to more of the ideas that I'm teaching, as well as some of the offers that I'm available for, which is one of them is going to be coaching sessions that incorporate all that I can do.
Again, that's MaggieRintala.com, and this will all be in the show notes. Again, I am Prayers Radio, and John is my co-host. Like, subscribe, or support us if you choose to. And we're going to have you pray us out, Maggie, if you would.
Okay. Ah, what a wonderful time we have had here, knowing that that time is a part of the great, eternal, no time, no thing, full presence. I can feel it. I, in fact, am it. Gratitude is all I need to feel. It has been said that if the only prayer we ever say is thank you, it will be enough. And so I say, thank you, Rich. Thank you, John. Thank you, Internet. Thank you for time and this moment. And I let it go. And so it is.
So it is. How wonderful. Thank you, Maggie. It's wonderful to have you here.
That's right. Stay tuned next week for another fun-filled venture on Prayers Radio. Again, like and subscribe if you choose to. And just remember, if you don't say a prayer, you ain't got a prayer. Everybody say bye.
Bye.
Your